Hey, how's it going? Welcome back. If you are new here, this is Joe and Jay Outspoken. Today we're going to be covering some questions that have been sent in, and over time, we're really bad at reading our emails and stuff, so they have collected for a little while.
Do you have a mouse in your pocket?
We. So yeah, we as in me, bad at reading all the emails. So yeah, we're going to go over some questions here, and there's some serious ones and some laughs along the way. If your question has not been answered, just know yours was a naughty one, so we're not going to read that on there.
Or we'll get to it on the next Q&A.
Or we'll get to it on the next one later on down the road. So, and if you do have questions or anything like that, please submit them whenever you'd like. But ready to do this, Joe?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. All right, welcome back. So we're going to jump right into this, and our first question is, what is the most important lesson you've learned in life?
Man, we got to start with the hard ones.
I know, it's a pretty serious one. There's some funny ones in here. There's a couple more serious ones too. But so what's the most important lesson you've learned in life? You know, I think the thing for me personally would just be in time with people you love, because you never get that time back. You know,
Wow.
You and we've worked together on and off for years and hung out on and off for years. We've lived in the same state and not lived in the same state, you know.
True.
And all the stuff that we do, like think about all the cars you've owned, or think about like right now, if your refrigerator goes out, what do? You go buy a new refrigerator, right? And yeah, it sucks because you got to spend $1,000, $2,000 depending on how crazy you are with your refrigerators. You want the one with the TV, it's like $3,000. But these are all things that even if it's expensive or whatever, you can get the money, you can make it, you know, save from your paper route or whatever you're doing. And do they have paper routes anymore? I don't know.
No.
So
they might.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Sending a little kid out in the neighborhood to collect money seems kind of sketchy now.
You know what? I think nowadays, with everything being high tech,
yeah,
I think you just download, get an app and get all your news on your phone.
Yeah, that's true. We don't have to send little kids out on their BMX bike to be debt collectors for the newspaper
with a 30-pound bag of newspapers in their hand.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So yeah, you can you can get more money and you can get more stuff and things. And you know, if you've ever been in a car accident and you've had to have your car fixed, or it's an inconvenience if, God forbid, you know, their house burns down, you got to have either rebuilt or buy a new house, all those kind of things. It doesn't matter how much money, how much effort you put into it, you are not getting any more time out of this life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so we have a finite amount of time from birth till our last breath, and then the people around us too. So those moments in time, like the time you spend with somebody is, you know, you'll never get that time back. So make sure that, you know, that time is spent valuably with others and for yourself too, you know? So I think that's the biggest lesson I've kind of learned in life.
No, yeah. I mean, and I think that's important. And I think I'm going to have to agree with you there. There was this, I heard this on social media somewhere. I can't remember where. It's just a quote. It says, and I'm agreeing with you, because I would think time. I've always thought, since I was a child, that plenty of time. You know, when you're young,
when you're young,
when you're young, you look at your parents, you're like, God, they're ancient, right?
They're ancient, and they were like 35.
Yeah. And then you get past that age, you surpass that age, and you're like, man, I'm still good. I got plenty of life to go. You know, I'm like, you know, that we always rely on the future and never really take account for the present. And I heard this quote once, and I think it's very important. I'm just going to read it real quick. It says, if you're depressed, you're living in the past. If you're anxious, you're living in the future. If you're at peace, then you're living in the present. And I think that's important because, you know, like for me, one of the biggest things was like, I've always thought my mom's always going to be there for me. That's my mom. You know, you never disassociate yourself from a parent or one that was always there for you. And then when you don't have them anymore, you're like, well, that life threw a curveball at me. I wasn't ready for that one, and
Right.
now you kind of see yourself in, like, I have kids, so now you see yourself in that same arena, where you're like, man, how much time do I have with my kids? You know what I mean? Like, one doesn't know. And I'm not going to think about the future, going to get all stressed out about it. I just, so to me, it's important.
Right.
I think the biggest lesson I've learned is take advantage of today. You know what I mean? Just enjoy today while
Yep.
it's here. We worry
Yep.
about tomorrow. So,
Well, one of the things, biblical thing is, tomorrow is never promised for any of us.
Yeah.
So, and that's the thing is youth. I mean, remember when we were in high school, gosh, and I hate to say I forgot his name. Anthony, was that his name? Guy, it was I don't know if that was our senior year, but it was his senior year, and he died in the car accident.
Yeah. It was Anthony, I believe.
Yeah,
That was crazy on Miles Ave. I still remember.
I know, and you start to think about that. So much life ahead of him. Really funny, fun guy, and it was over in an instant.
Yeah.
Right. And his family never thought that was going to be. And here's the crazy thing: he never had kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
So right now, thinking about this is that.
Like, I think he was the only child.
Yeah, he was. Yeah. That was the big deal. His parents were obviously heartbroken. Which you would be. Any parent would be for their losing a child. But being the only child, and they've already lived that long. I mean, it's heartbreaking enough to have a child die early on, but now you've lived with them so long and such a tragic way to go. So, but we never know. And you think, like you said, when we're young, we're going to have all this time. And it's like, I'm pretty healthy. I've got clean bill of health and stuff from the doctor and all that kind of thing. But that doesn't mean you can't be out on the freeway and get smacked by a truck.
Yeah.
It's all over, and
it's funny. I used to tell my kids when they're young,
brakes go out. Somebody cuts my brakes, going off a cliff.
I wasn't there. It wasn't me.
It wasn't me.
I used to tell my kids when they're younger, they'd upset me. I'm like, I go, I made you. I'll make another one look just like you.
Yeah. I brought you into this world. I'll take you out.
Yeah. I'm like, we'll make another one. I tell that to my kids now. They're like, oh, my daughter. She said that to me the other day. I'm like,
the thought of
all of a sudden, you don't know how babies are made, or it's gross that you see that your mom and your dad made you. All of a sudden,
yeah, the thought of that is, you're like, that's kind of weird. I don't know. Gosh, that's what those sounds were when I was in my crib.
Wow.
All right. So next question. So, do either of you own or would you own a Tesla?
Here we go.
Joe's got a pink one.
So first off, let me just say this. Those Cybertrucks, horrific vehicles. I see them and I'm like, what were they thinking? Anyway, I don't have a Tesla. I probably would not own a Tesla. And the reason for that is like, I'm not really, I'm one of those red-blooded Americans, where, I need power, horsepower, and I need someone's going to consume a lot of crude oil, and destroy the ozone, and you know what I mean? And I need room to pack my deers and my guns and my wood, and toys. I could put toys in the back. So no, I probably wouldn't. I wouldn't see myself owning a Tesla. I just, electric vehicles to me, I don't think that we are ready or sound enough. We have anything out there available that's going to be, I was in Cali the other day and I went over to get some coffee for me and my ex, and they have these whole section of Tesla chargers, packed, bro, packed, just sitting there,
people waiting in line.
Yeah, just sitting there charging. Like, I don't have time in life to be sitting there charging my vehicle.
No,
Go in there, pump my gas, and I'm out. You know what I mean? So I don't have the patience. I really don't.
You know what would, and this is almost an impossibility, not impossible, but almost an impossibility, would be if they would have kind of like a, you have power tools, right? DeWalt, Makita, whatever, where you could pull up to a station and really quickly it pulls that battery out and pops another one in for you, and you're on your way.
Yeah.
Takes, 10 minutes at best, basically the time it takes to fuel a regular vehicle up, right? Mm-hmm. The problem is that 45 minutes or an hour or whatever it is, because the way they do the whole charging thing is that only if you're going on an extremely large trip are you really to charge it to 100? Those superchargers for Tesla in particular, obviously there's other brands out there, but for Tesla in particular, they only have you charge up to 80%, and you never want to go below 20%. So now start thinking about that. So when now think of that in contrast to a regular fuel vehicle. Okay, don't ever fill it up past 3/4 of a tank, but don't let it ever get below 1/4 of a tank. So you're just floating in this little bit of a space, so you can only get so many miles out of it. And there's this thing, the definition, it's called range anxiety. So it is the fear that an electronic vehicle will run out of battery power before reaching its destination or a charging station. It's especially common when traveling long distances or on roads with few charging stations.
I already have anxiety to be dealing with charging.
And imagine most of the people that are buying those cars are probably people that already taken anxiety medication and stuff like that, right?
You're probably right.
So I guess to answer the question on my side, I have 3 of them. I do have a Cybertruck.
And a Cybertruck.
It's in pink. No,
I've wrapped it in pink.
Would I own one? I'm not thinking any time in the near future. I think the technology's got to catch up to really where it needs to be. At this point in time, hybrid is probably the best for if you want to be cleaner for the environment or whatever. But the sad thing is, the mining of the minerals and everything to make the batteries.
Is that cobalt?
Yeah, cobalt and lithium and all these different things. And then the fact that where's the electricity come from? It's not coming from wind power, and they're finding wind power is really super inefficient, right? And it's really not good for the environment either. I mean,
especially all the oil that they use to lubricate them. You're really not doing nothing for the environment.
Yeah, and they're killing birds and the all the stuff they have to mine to again make the wind turbines, and they're huge. I mean, and they block the landscape, and they look when you're driving through Palm Springs,
Windy Point down
just a mass of those things everywhere. So I don't see myself in the foreseeable future. Now, for people that have a ton of money, and now I'm not a basher on those cars by any means. I actually think I agree with you. I think the Cybertruck looks like a giant garbage can, dude.
Yeah.
I saw a picture of it was like a garbage bin they had in India, and then it had wheels on it. I swear. And it's the exact shape as this Cybertruck. So that thing's ugly. Some of the other ones, like the Model S. I'm not really good with Tesla models and stuff like that, but it's a cool looking car. It has that giant screen in the middle that controls everything. Some of the things that I think are really cool that they've done. So it has a pet mode, right? So if you have a pet and say you live in a hot climate like we do in Arizona, or people in Southern California in the desert or something like that, you're not allowed to, like in parts of California, I know it is legal for somebody to bust your window out to get the dog out if you left them in the car and they're sitting there panting. Well, that big screen, you program it to pet mode. It keeps, because it's an electric car, right? It locks all the doors down and everything, but it keeps the AC running and everything, and it keeps it at a constant temperature, or the heater if it's in the wintertime. And it puts a big thing on the screen. My owner will be right back. I'm at a comfortable blah, blah, blah degrees or whatever, So there's some cool things they've done with them. But I don't think the technology, and definitely 110%, the infrastructure does not exist for it. If we were to all of a sudden tomorrow snap our fingers and everybody owned electric cars, our electric grid would not be able to handle it. And
we'll find out in 2035 in California. See how that goes for them.
Oh yeah, and they're the worst state to begin with all that stuff.
With the rolling blackouts and stuff like that. You know what? I'm gonna tell you. I'll buy an electric car. Like, I like those electric Hummers. Those are pretty nice. Like, I'll buy one when the someone comes up to it and tries to steal it, and a 50 cal comes out the roof and says "back off." Kind of like RoboCop.
You know what I mean? Yeah, I was just gonna say that.
Yeah. Then I'll get one.
That's funny.
So, but until then, I like my gas guzzlers. So.
Right. So the next question is, where or how do you guys get your podcast topics? Is that what? Yeah, podcast topics. This would be a good one for you, Joe.
Well, it's funny. Me and Jay, and we've talked about this in the past. Me and Jay, we've always gotten together, whether barbecuing, eating, or barbecuing. Wait, that's all the same thing. That's all we do. Anyway, every time we get together, I mean, we have some interesting conversations, and they're just
about all kinds of stuff.
all kinds of things, man. They start off political, they end up sexual, not in nature, but like in questions and conversations, like things that are happening in America. But it just goes
not towards
from
each other.
Yeah, clearly not.
How are you
So it goes
feeling
like,
right now, Joe?
hello, Clarice. So
Hello, Clarice.
so
He
it
puts
goes
the
like,
lotion in the basket.
so it goes from one spectrum to the other. I mean, we're weird when it comes to conversations because we'll start off with, like I said, one topic, and it comes out totally to a different topic, and before you know
Oh
it,
yeah,
we're like back to the original topic. So we're Gen Xers, so we have so much stuff that happened in our generation, right? We went from having a total disconnect from any kind of electrical lifestyle to being totally controlled by or defined by electronics. And
right.
so our generation is huge on that.
Right.
So we know kind of both sides of the spectrum. So there's so many things that in our lifetime have changed. Kind of like baby boomers had the big old things between not having, certain cars and cars that they had back in their time, and just the way of living, foods, things like that. Everything was so different. How they made babies back then was weird, So now, we're doing things differently now. So, but
yeah,
so
we know the sex of our kids now,
yeah,
or you can find out. Yeah.
Well, back then it was so easy. There was only two sexes, male and female.
Yeah.
So God,
It comes out one or the other.
It was funny. They made it so easy for us as parents. Like, oh, he's got a little ding ding. That's a boy. That's
Yeah.
a boy. But anyway,
missing a ding ding, it's not a boy.
Not a boy.
So,
not a boy. But we usually, so we're kind of, we also love to read, both Jay and I, and we have tons of books. And so we just kind of, we're having conversations outside of our podcast world, and we just come up with ideas. We're like, hey, this is a good thing to bring up, or even current events. Hey, this is something to talk about. So that's why in our podcast, we go from like A through Z of
right.
anything possible that we could talk about. People out there probably wondering, like, are these guys on crack? They go like from one topic to another.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
topic A to Z. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's just so funny because, like, we sit back and look at it and we're like, who cares what their opinions are?
Right. And that's where our slogan comes from.
Yeah.
Opinions matter, just not
yours. But so there's not really per se like a section or a method in how we get our topics. We basically just, everyday life, man. We come up with an idea or something that we want to share, or just so many different, there's so many outlets that we could grab ideas from. That's what we do. So that's why sometimes we'll go from talking about Trump to talking about Biden to talking about God, and then in between, we'll throw in a few things about mass murderers. We'll talk about ghosts, UFOs, little green men. We talk about everything on this podcast. So, it's just that we're outspoken, man. So that's what we do.
Yeah. Yep. That sums it up pretty much. Yeah. Because we used to get together. Well, we've always gotten together and just hang out and cook and eat and stuff. And we talk about the most random things, and all of those things are what we said, because I remember that conversation. We're like, so what are we going to talk about? We were both like, just talk about what we've been talking about every time we get together, just random stuff. And I would say things that are kind of pertinent, in society at the time. So we apologize for the folks that maybe didn't like the political stuff. Obviously the last 6 months or year, 4 years, 6 years, whatever it's been, there's been a lot of that in the news and everything. So we've kind of tried to keep in the loop on that and be on top of it. But yeah, we want to kind of branch out a little bit more to some funner things, and then things that are really personal to us, like, our Walks with Jesus series and stuff like that. So,
well, I do want to say something on that. I mean, we absolutely, positively, if you listen to our podcast, we are going to talk about what we want to talk about. But what we talk about, just so you know, is our belief. So if we talk about being conservative, is because we're conservative. If we talk about God, is because we believe in Christianity. It's just what we talk about, things that we like, and of course these are our views, and it's all opinionated. Whether people like it or not our concern. But we're just sharing what we view.
Yeah, because we may not agree with other people's
but the ultimate hope is that people out there who oppose us or who don't like our views or whatever are open enough to listen to it. Or even just have a contrast to what they're talking about, or maybe just you've heard it all incorrectly, because that happens a lot here in America. A lot of misinformation.
We had one episode that we did, and the whole thing was
Gay dogs. Was that the one we did about gay dogs?
gay dogs.
No, that was not.
And the person commented, and it was totally agreeing with what we had said, but because of the way we titled the video, it was like they were disagreeing with us. But and I said, you need to go back and watch the episode because we 100% agree with you. So sometimes folks jump the gun on agreeing and disagreeing and stuff like that. So our topics don't come from anything other than maybe current events and just things that Joe and I are talking about at the moment,
that we're going through.
Yeah. So there you go.
All right, now.
Next question. All right. How do you guys hang your toilet paper? Over or under?
Oh man, that is a question of the decade. Let me tell you.
I don't know why somebody would ask that.
First off, why would you even ask that question? But anyway, that's probably a topic in your house.
I don't use toilet paper.
And I don't either. I use, I'm a wipies, man. I'm a wipies. I apologize. There was a commercial I saw where they had like mud on their arms and one guy used like toilet paper and then they used to wipe in the other. I'm like, you sold me.
There you go.
That's it.
There you go.
Now, I do have TP in my house, and that's for decorative purposes and guests, right? Because they're not going to use my damn wipes. They're expensive.
Yeah, wipes are expensive.
But anyway, when I do I don't know why I changed, but like for the longest time, it was always under. I always had it. And I think it was just because, I put it in there. And
so the paper was coming down towards the next to the
it was
wall?
on the bottom. Yeah, it was coming off the bottom, Now I have it over, and I don't know. When I go to a hotel and I see it like that, I'm like, well, it's fancy. So I just do it over. I don't want to cause any kind of trauma to any guests that I have at my house. You know what I mean? So I want to do it over.
So a lot of people will do the under or the back where the paper's hitting the wall if they have like cats or something that will sit there and do that, because if they do that, then the paper just runs backwards. And then if you do it the other way and the cat does that, all the paper runs down on the floor, or little kids or what have you. So I think that's why people do that.
We just whip their ass if they do that. You know what I mean? That's a Gen X for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You get a good beating for messing with the toilet paper. Yeah, stuff's expensive, especially after COVID. So,
God.
All right. I hope that answered your guys' questions. That's as simple as toilet paper can be, I guess. Yeah. So
guys, do it over. We do it over.
Yeah, we do it over. And then wipies. I do a mix, depends on the, time of the season.
Wow. I'm not even gonna ask.
When it's hot, man. I mean, you gotta use wipies when it's hot, man. All right, you guys.
Thanks. It's good. Keep going.
You guys have been bringing up Jesus and Christianity lately. What drove you to that?
Okay. For me, what drove me to that is the fear of not being with my loved ones. The fear of disconnecting from God. I don't know. It to me was there's a lot of fear behind it, I think. So I think the biggest thing for me was, hey, I lived that life the wrong way. Let's see what the other side has to offer. You know what I mean? Clearly, it's a harder path, very, very hard path. It takes a lot of dedication, a lot of hard work, a lot of discipline.
But even with all that, would you say you're happier now?
I am much more at peace now. I am happier.
That's a good word.
I'm happier. Peace. Yeah, I'm much more happier and at peace. And I think the biggest thing, Jay, is that I know, and I'm okay with it, the fact that I don't have the answers to everything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm okay with that because I put my burdens on God.
Right.
You know what I mean? So
yeah,
I'm like,
as humans, we're super flawed, and we're always trying to be in control of everything, and it's impossible. It's super impossible.
And trust me, I'm not trying to from my perspective, I'm not trying to Bible thump people with my belief or my religion, but I'm proud of it. I'm proud of what it's done to me and it's doing for me and where it's taking me. So I think Jay and I both felt that it was necessary that we included in our podcast, because who wouldn't want to share the good word? You know what I mean?
Right. Well, here's the thing. Let's make it something really simple and secular, right? That has nothing to do with religion or anything else. If you knew, say you work for a gas company or fire department or something like that, and you have friends that live in an apartment complex, and you're like, man, this building's going to catch on fire or blow up or whatever. And you thought, you know what? I'm not going to tell my friends about it because they might think I'm kind of weird. And what's the chances of it and all this kind of stuff. And the thing blows up and they're gone, right? Now, go back to it and say, you know, hey, I'm just going to tell you guys because I love you guys and I care about you. Whether you guys do anything about it or not, whether you care about the gas leak or whatever it is that it might blow up or catch on fire, that's up to you guys, right? But I love you guys and I want to give you this information. I want to tell it to you. That's the best kind of a simple analogy to how we are with this, right? If you're a friend of ours or somebody that we care about and you're sitting right here watching this video right now, you know, we care about you and we love you and we want you to know that we're not going to force anything upon you. Just like Joe said, I'm not going to, you know, I'm not going to be a used car salesman and tell you, you got to buy this 1995 or you're not going to, you know, you're not going to make it down the road. Why wouldn't we tell you about something that's good and has worked really good for us? And like Joe said, brought us to peace, you know? So yeah, we've been down the other road and it wasn't a good one.
Yeah. No. And we're
Yeah.
happy we're away from that one.
Yep, definitely.
I mean, it's a struggle every day, right? I mean, but
yeah. Well, that's the thing. I mean,
dude,
you know,
especially with my horrible sailor mouth, bro.
Well, the thing is, the first time, so you know, when I was a kid, I went to Southern Baptist Church, right, where it was mainly whites and blacks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there was probably an Asian family and a Mexican family in there, but it was mainly white and black people at the particular church I was at, and like all the old black men, I mean, they were dressed in like nice suits, you know, and everybody dressed up really, really nice, you know. And the first time I went to a non-denominational, like, you know, more modern church, you guys wearing like cargo pants and wearing baseball caps and, you know, tatted up and everything. I'm like, is that how you're supposed to be, you know, coming to a church? And the reason things changed is because people felt, well, I don't belong in that church. I'm, you know, I've got tattoos
Outcast.
or yeah, I'm an outcast or I've been a sinner all my life. Well, that's where you're supposed to be, right? That's the place that's supposed to invite you in. So churches have changed a lot and that whole culture of shunning people that, you know, have holes in their jeans and stuff like that. Those days are over. Man, you want people to come in. It says in the Bible, man, bring us your, you know, tired and hungry and everything, come on in. So, all right. Next question. This one lightens it up a little bit. Why this is hysterical. Why do round pizzas come in square boxes and are cut in triangle?
All right, first off, I don't know what kind of podcast you think this is. We're not solving America's problems.
So you see the formula of the hypotenuse is
it's a pie, man. It's a pie. They don't make round boxes, guys. All right, so what was the question again? Why are round pizzas
come in square boxes
cut
into triangles? That's
oh my God.
You know what? There's probably some math professor somewhere that would just go nuts over that question. Like he's like the square root of what is pi 3.14? I don't know.
Oh my God. So let me tell you this. Living in Michigan, we got that Detroit style pizza. And everything's so simple in Michigan. It comes in a
except square snow driving.
Well, if you have a gas guzzling truck, son, you'll be fine. You know what I mean? If you got yourself one of them electric cars.
Oh yeah, they won't charge if when it's too cold. Yeah.
So here's the thing, and then all that salt on the roads. Yeah, not good for those cars. Anyway, in Detroit, the Detroit style pizza, again, very simple. They have a square box in which comes a square pizza. Which is cut in squares. Boom. Detroit fixed the problem, guys. Thank you, Michigan. Thank you. Made it very easy. You know, that's a good question, though. I have no idea.
They went from making the best cars in the world to making the best pizzas. Box setup in the world.
Hey, man, shout out to Jet's Pizza. It's pretty good. I miss their pizzas. Yeah, the Detroit style. I'm not a big fan of those thick pizzas,
me either.
deep dish pizzas, and that's Detroit style pizza is that. But it's a pizza. You make it, you have your cheese, everything else, and then they put the sauce on top of that. So and then it's a deep crust. It's a deep crust pizza. I'm a very thin crust kind of guy, very simplistic. You know what I mean?
I like to taste the stuff more than the crust.
Yeah, and plus if I
Personally.
eat that, every time I eat pizza down there in Michigan, 20 minutes later, I'm out
Yeah.
sleeping. You know what
Yeah,
I
it's
mean?
so
Just
much
too much
carbs,
dough.
man. You
Yeah,
eat one slice and it's like eating
OD'd,
because it's just
OD'd
so much
in pizza
bread.
dough. But yeah, that's a real good question. I have no clue.
Well, that's
Maybe that's a question for like Domino's or Pizza Hut. Like, hey guys, can we fix the problem with the round pizzas? We're not in New York, not a pie. You know what I mean?
well, how about when they tried to do so it's a square box round pizza and then they square cut the round pizza? That's so weird because then you get these
Yeah.
weird little chunk
Those
pieces
little
on
corners
the end.
that have no
It's
purpose in
just
life.
yeah, it's like a piece of crust with one black olive on it. There's like not even any
You're
sauce.
like, what is this for?
What is
What is
this?
this?
What is this? I'm gonna throw this at the dog or something. I don't know. This goes along with like hot dog buns and hot dogs. There's never the right amount of hot dogs to hot dog buns in the packages. So
Although I think Nathan has come up with the solution on that. And he even got a wiener that is the size of a bun, because normally you get the hot dog buns and then you get the wieners and they're like small and they're like all this bread
yeah,
and like no meat in there,
yeah,
right?
because
So
once it cooks
Nathan's
down,
yeah. Nathan has made it where it's a bun size. They're geniuses out there. So thank you, Nathan, for having those done correctly. And then of course you got
Nathan,
us.
we love your wieners.
We love your wieners. And of
Well,
course,
the thing is like it's 8 buns, right, in
to
the
12
package
hot dogs.
to 12 hot dogs. It's like how many packages of dogs to buns do you have to buy it for to equal out to the same amount?
There is a conspiracy behind this. They
Yeah.
are forcing us to buy more buns.
Dang them.
But then you got Mexicans, bro. Then we come in here and then we have to start wrapping bacon on them and putting beans on. We just
Put them in a tortilla.
Put them in a. Oh, wow, bro. We don't put them.
Well, we used to put them
we
in
put
just
them in
bread.
we put them. No, well, we used to put them in. We used to put them in. I used to do that for my kids. It would be a chopped weenie with eggs in the morning.
With eggs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they tear it up. And top of deal. They tear that up.
Ooh,
Bro.
that actually sounds really good.
Yeah, kids are crazy.
All right. Well, we solved
That's a good. Yeah, we solved it, guys. Thank
solved
you.
a world problem, I guess. What do they do in Italy? I guess we should find out. You know what? I may try to email Domino's and see what they say about it, and we'll get back to you guys.
I don't know. Maybe Italy doesn't even have boxes. They're like, no. What are you doing? You eat them here. You know what I mean? We don't take these to go. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what they do. Maybe they'd have them. I don't know.
All right. So,
can you imagine how rich we'd be if we made round boxes, bro? We need to start talking about it. We'll talk about this later.
I'm going to cut this out because I don't want anybody to steal our idea.
Good. Take it. We got this.
All right. Last question. What are you proudest of in your life?
That's an easy one. I was waiting for you to answer. Sorry. Made it feel like I was thinking my children. My children are the proudest things in my life.
So my proudest thing would be I don't have unwanted children.
That's you know what? That's the second proudest moment of me is that I don't have children everywhere. You look at me, you're like, oh, he's Mexican. He's got probably 14 kids. He only claims 3. But no, I only have what I have, and that's 3 If you're out there and you're trying to blame one on me, you better check yourself. I only got 3 beautiful children, and that's it.
In all seriousness, I think the proudest moment for me is family.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I didn't really have anything to do with that, right? I was the
but you
grace
still be
of
proud
God and the luck and everything. Yeah, and I was really blessed, growing up with my mom's dad, so my grandfather on her side, and then my dad. I mean, they taught me so much as far as between construction and working on cars and all these kind of things that
just life.
Yeah, I mean. Being able to do your own plumbing and do your own drywall and work on your vehicle and stuff like that, those kind of things. And then my dad was a good cook. My mom's a great cook. My grandmother was an amazing cook, and learning a little bit there. And
your mom could cook.
Yeah. And, I some of the fondest memories I have in like middle school was hanging out with my mom and my aunt. Seriously, we'd go on vacation like during summer break and stuff.
Yeah.
And go down to we'd go to San Diego to the zoo or wild animal park and whatever. Seriously, those were some of the funnest times I ever had. And, you would think at that age, you're like, oh, God, I don't want to be around my parents or my family or whatever. And there were some of the best memories I'll cherish for the rest of my life, so.
Yeah, it's good because you know what? I was like that with my mom. I was going with her everywhere up until I got married. It was just, my mom, every time she'd go, remember Harris's?
Oh, yeah. That turned into Gotcha eventually. Yeah.
She used to love going over there. And so
it was called something before. It was Harris's.
Yeah, it had another name. I can't remember what it was.
Well, then it went to Harris Gottschalk, right?
Harris Gottschalks.
But I thought it had another name before that. Anyways, go ahead.
It could.
Your mom and
remember.
you would go over to.
She would bribe me. Like, I'll buy you some clothes if you go. With
so you'd go walk around with her. And
I'm like, I'm down, Mom. I'm like, you didn't have to bribe me. I was down to go. I was only happy to go because I love that old fashioned ice cream, the one that dip in chocolate and rolled in the peanuts.
in the mall there.
Oh my god,
yeah.
That's when we had them all in India. Remember? Indio fashion mall. It was all about it, bro. Anyway, dude, we used to just go everywhere. And then when I got married, she forgot about me, of course, and started kidnapping my child, my firstborn. And she just took him everywhere. I'm like, what the? Like, dude, can I have my kid back? You know what I mean? Like, I was your number one.
It's the grandbaby.
Yeah, well, I was the baby. And then she took that from me. Or my oldest took that from me.
Yeah. Well,
it's okay. I would rather have been replaced by one of my own kids than my siblings. Right. I'd be real mad if it was a sibling, bro. We'd be brawling.
You'll love your kids a little bit more.
Yeah. Better. It was better my kids than my sibling. My mom turned on me and went with my brother. We would have been throwing hands. Me and my mom.
Well, this was actually a fun episode. Gosh, it was,
man. We'll try to get more of these Q&As, guys. Get to them all.
There was a couple more questions, and we don't want to make these episodes too crazy long. And then there were a few that we're not going to answer because
not appropriate.
They're not appropriate, or
could lead to jail time, or could lead to criminal prosecution, which we will not be doing for you guys. All right, so I'm not
60 days in. That'll be our next episode. All right. Well, again, if you're new here, you can go to Linktree/Joe and Jay Outspoken and get all of our information and all that kind of good stuff. Click the like, subscribe button, all that kind of stuff, and really helps us out a ton. We love you guys. Make sure you take care of one another.
Remember, do better, be better.
And as always, God bless America.
We'll see you guys again.
See you next Tuesday.